Hello, and welcome to this video. Today, we are flying the newly released FSLabs. And boy, is this plane something special. Now, I don't want to get, too, all over... I don't want to get too heads over my heels, but I truly like what FSLabs has done here, as I was always a fan of their products, even in P3D times. And they just know how to make add-ons very immersive is, I think, a key word here. And what I like about FSLabs as well, at least their strategy for developing add-ons, is each time they update a product or create a new product, they always bring a new major feature in, which they then apply to all of their previous fleet with updates. And in this case, we've seen this in their entire cycle. When the A320 first came out, it was the A320, right? Then when the A321 came out, we had icing effects. Yes, icing effects, I think, weather effects. And I think with the 319, then ACARS came out, so the AOC menu came out. I think, don't quote me on that, but there was always some major updates. And then with the Sharklets, the EFB came out. So they always came out with new features, and now with the MSFS version here, with the 321, their new feature is obviously the MEL items, which is pretty cool. And I'm curious, I have a feeling what the A321 Neo feature is gonna be, the new one, since they've kind of already hinted at that they're working on this, and that is a very immersive cabin and dynamic cabin. For those who don't know, FSLabs has the capability, which no other developer does, which I think is also so cool, is that every airline truly has its own cabin layout and its own weights. So your dry operating weight can be very different to a different airline, even though it's the same exact airframe. So same exact engine, same exact Sharklets, but because you have less seats, for example, or more galley, or whatever the case may be, you have a different dry operating weight. This is all defined by the livery config file, which you can edit. And so you can also edit the amount of passengers each airframe has, which is super cool, and also gives a purpose to adding separate airframes in your sim brief, right? That's what I've done for many years, and the FSLabs was the reason why I started doing that. So you can have pretty much every airline, so every livery that you download in the future, whether it be Flights MTO or FSLabs themselves, from FSLabs themselves, you can verify whether or not that airframe has the correct amount of passengers, because we have seat guru, unfortunately, but fortunately, which we can double check, and we can customize that. So my feature that I think, or the feature that I think they're gonna be releasing in the future, with the 321 Neo, my guess is that they're gonna have the cabin actually be dynamic. So when you change that livery config file to the amount of passengers, you'll actually see that many seats, and GSX will then integrate that as well with seated passengers, things like that. That's my guess. And since they also said already that they have big plans with the cabin and with the MEL items, we'll also see obviously things not working and broken, so that I can very much guess, similar to iFly, that many of the things can be used in the cabin. Probably the coffee machines will probably have some kind of animation. Probably every single overhead bin will be able to be opened. Shades might even be open and closed. Tray tables, things like that. That's my guess. Maybe even in-flight entertainment in some capability will work, maybe. At least you'll see a screen light up, and then if that seat is broken, then it won't light up. Maybe something like that, something simple, but enough that it adds immersion, right? And maybe you have to then recycle or try to recycle the IFE push button, just turn them off, turn them back on, just like in real life you would need to do. I think this is what I think could happen in the future. And man, oh man, I really think people, if you haven't gotten the FSLabs yet and you're still on the verge and you still don't know if you're going to buy it, I would recommend to definitely buy the 321 Neo when it comes out. I think I think latest then people will realize how good their products are, and how immersive they are. They're not perfect by no means. I'm not saying that, but if you really want that maximum immersion, nobody has ever gone as far as FSLabs. Nobody, and it's fascinating. I really enjoy this product because of that, and yeah. So we're gonna take this plane to a with a relatively long flight, 4 hours and 37 minutes. And we're going to fly from Helsinki, which is where we're at, of course, as you see in the title, to Madrid. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this plane started up. Master switches are off. Mode select normal. Weather radar off. Predictive wind shear system off. Gears down. Wipers off. Batteries at least 25.5. 1, 2. Exterior lighting is all off. External power will turn on. Alright, so the aircraft is powered up. There are some bugs that they're still ironing out. They've already updated the first, or had a first patch on the experimental channel published yesterday, and I have it installed now, so I'm running it. And so the bugs that were mentioned are still not fixed. For example, Gen 2. So we're going to ignore Gen 2 today. It should go away once the engines are started. And then the ground service request is also an iffy thing, which I would assume will all be fixed in the future. There's a few things, bugs that are in here that I will definitely report. I have quite a few things. I have a relatively long list of things that I want to report to them. I'll see if I mention them here in this video, if you guys are curious. But I'll try to just keep to the procedures. So, the aircraft is powered up, flight warning computers are powered up, do an APFR test. That works. On, nav and logo light on. We're definitely going to be de-icing today. The temperature is very cold, and I do have some indications of icing. And there is a thunderstorm on the way towards here, so we have to keep that in mind as well. It's just safe to de-ice today, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and initialize ACARS. Perfect, that's checked. Aircraft status. Nav database selected in it, and everything is inserted and correct, which is checked. Perfect. Aircraft acceptance. Go recall for 3 seconds. Looks good. Status. These 3 are normal for now. This again is a bug, so we are fine there. We're gonna go to tech log. And we have something in the cabin. See, a lot of things that are in the cabin. So seat 4 Echo, bottom, ASCII, and poor conditions, but still usable. So imagine we can see this effect in a cabin that they're working on with probably the 321 Neos. And I think it's going to come in a 321 Neo simply because of the fact that the 321 Neo has very... Oh, sorry, I'm talking very loud. Has a lot of... different cabin configurations, whether due to the different exit layouts that you have with the 321 Neo. I mean, I think you have 2 or 3. Sorry, you have 3 different. I think 3 different variants. Obviously the original A321 layout with 4 main exits. You have the typical one that we see a lot with 2 overwing exits and then 2 main exits in the back and 1 in the front. And then you have the same thing, just with 1 overwing exit. So the airlines can choose how dense they want their 321 Neos to be, and so they can change the layout there. And since I'm pretty sure they're gonna be able to, or since I'm pretty sure they're gonna add all of these different variants to their 321 Neo lineup, I can think that the cabin that comes with it will also be dynamic. I can only imagine. But we'll see. So aircraft acceptance, I'm also going to check some circuit breakers. So far, I didn't see any message, so none of the monitored CBs are pulled, so that's already a good sign. But looking here, I don't see any of the other circuit breakers pulled either. Perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and check the fault history, see if there's anything there. Nope. Flight history, none. Tech log name. Okay. So that is checked. Let's do the preliminary performance determination. I do have a physical printer installed, so I'm gonna go ahead. So if you don't see me check messages, that's because I'm getting them printed physically. So with that, knowing that we don't have any kind of items or deferred items that could cause performance penalties or would require us to use more fuel, I'm happy with the block fuel that we have here. We're planning with 30 minutes of extra hold time, and we're going to go instant because it is a lot of fuel. Addition number 1, 0 fuel weight 65.7 is correct. Standard time departure 12:30 is planned. That is also correct. Alright, send that off. And with that, we will get the we will get the slot notification through that. So slot notification, Helsinki to Madrid, flight plan release 1. And we do have a delay of 12 minutes, which is really cool that they've simulated that, of Alpha Extra, which I believe is weather. So a delay code, which makes sense because there's going to be quite some weather coming up here. So that is checked. If you guys want to see what that message looks like, this is what it looks like. All right. We're also going to go ahead and get weather. Let me just see. Do I want to fly on Vatsim? I kind of don't, but I kind of do as well. All right. So nobody's online, so I'm going to go ahead and print the METAR or METAR. And we're gonna check. Alright, so weather 0702, so very low winds, -6 degrees, QNH 1009, which is checked once, twice, 3 times. Just for the sake of it, because I want to really show off this EFP. This is the best EFP as well that I've, that anybody can wish for, especially VR users. It really has everything you can imagine, I'm somebody who uses a lot of external programs and does a lot of things on a separate window, especially SimBrief stuff, so SimBrief flight plan, Navigraph charts, things like that. But you can do it all here now. I know in other tablets you can do it as well, but that's not all I'm talking about here. So we can go to briefing. This is typical, you have all this. You can filter all the data, you can refresh it, summary, things like that. You can go through this. You have that available. And the same thing with Navigraph. You can go to Navigraph. And I should be logged in. Yeah, there we go. We can import, and then we can pin charts as we require. Let me just check. So we have Kuzev. So you have your pinned charts here. There's a map, so you can check out. You can see the weather that's coming up here. So you can look at that. You can cycle through all the data you want. So you can remove the routing. So let's go ahead and. This updates, by the way, with the FMGC, so that's why you don't see a connection there. So you can remove that. You can remove airplanes that might be logged in. So it looks like somebody's arriving here. 737 it looks like, or shuttle, which is also pretty cool. Frequencies, weather, thunderstorms, so on and so forth. There's so much more night mode. There's a lot of things to do here, which is really cool. And then connection, so GSX, you won't have any issues with GSX because you can do it all through here with the services. You can add your own documents, so you can look through documents, and then in a folder you can add your own documents, which I did, a normal checklist. So you can read all of your documents that you have in here. So there's a lot of things, especially for VR users, that is very beneficial here and can be used to its full potential, not requiring any additional services. You can also open up websites. So if you're a Twitch streamer or generally a streamer, I think you should be able to. I definitely know you can go to YouTube. You should also be able to go to Twitch, and then you can read your chat through here. There's so much that you can do here. It's absolutely crazy. You know what? Let's go. Let's add. Let's just, for the sake of it, let's go to Twitch, because a lot of people stream on Twitch these days still. Twitch. I disabled the physical keyboard. You can use your physical keyboard for this, but I disabled that because sometimes certain buttons do certain things in the sim, and I don't want to risk pressing the wrong thing. So there you go. We're now on Twitch. So yeah, I guess the first person is somebody like that. So yeah, you can I'm gonna go ahead and reject, blah blah blah, and you can watch a stream. Let's, you know, not support on this part. Okay, this could happen. Okay, I guess maybe it's not complete, but you can at least read the chat, right? So you can do that. You can read your chat, which is super fun for, especially for streamers. Super cool, right? Yeah. So the EFB is super powerful. It's probably the most powerful EFB that I've ever seen. Very close to the Flight Factor A320 that once was in the beginning, because it also had browser features and things like that. But this one takes it a little bit step further. Then the takeoff and landing performance calculations are also really good and give you a lot of extra information that nobody else does. The important part is always stop margin, the performance limit, takeoff weight, and so on and so forth. And the fact that you also have intersections with some of the airports depending on the database that they have, and engine out procedures as well. It's just, there's just so much to talk about here that I need to hurry up now because yeah. So we're gonna go, oops, air conditioning off, engine anti-ice will go on. In fact, we'll also do wing anti-ice, actually for takeoff only engine anti-ice, and our takeoff weight is gonna be 84.2. So let's go plug that in, 84.2, right, and we're expecting runway 04 right for departure, and we're gonna go with full length first, see what it gives us. So we're gonna go ahead and calculate, and you can see config 2 already, so we're definitely gonna go full length, 164, 164, 164, a range of 226 to 102 meters, so you can choose between 158 and 164. For the V1, and we're going to go 164, and then you get your stab trim, which is not accurate at the moment because we don't have the final load sheet, but also flex, and you have your limit. So what we check here by doing this preliminary performance determination is checking what our takeoff weight is, which is 84.2 today, is what we're expecting, and comparing that with the performance limit takeoff weight, which is well within margin, and our maximum takeoff weight structurally. So we are perfectly fine to do that. You can also see our engine out here is a standard at 1700 feet, turn right to Papa Victor Oscar and hold. And so we'll plug that in today in our secondary flight plan, right? You can print that, you can send that to the, well, what do I mean? You can send that to the FMGC, not really send it, but if you go to performance, you can do takeoff uplink. I'm not gonna do that, but you can. I might do it later once I do the final calculations, but for now, this makes no sense. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the landing calculations, verify that we are able to land in Madrid as well. Config full, reverse all, AC on, engine anti-ice off, rest is checked. I'm not expecting any weather there, and we're expecting to arrive at 3-2 right with a landing weight of 70.9er. I'm going to go ahead and plug in. Let's go ahead and do 70.9er. And then we're going to calculate that. So landing weight 70.9, performance limit 94.6, so perfectly within margin, as well as our structural landing weight. And you can also get your auto brake, the exits, things like that. There's so much here that is truly remarkable that no other performance calculator for the sim does. Alright, so we're expected to depart in 30 minutes. So since I am pretty confident that the aircraft is in a good condition, I'm going to go ahead and request boarding at the perfect time of 12 UTC. So I'm going to select 12 UTC, I'm going to select request, and then at 12 UTC it's going to request GSX boarding automatically. which is super cool, and we'll get the preliminary load sheet also with that request, which we can then take a look at. So we're going to continue. Oxygen pressure is sufficient, hydraulic quantities are checked, engine oil quantities are good. Flaps up, indication agreed, spoilers disarmed, parking brake is set, and acupressure in the green. And that is all checked. Check the emergency equipment, make sure everything is checked. We definitely want this closed, so I'm going to keep that nice and closed. And you know what I just noticed? That these have a nice bend to them, as you can see, which is really actually pretty accurate, because these are not always straight in the real world. They're pretty much bent all the time, which is a nice effect. Or are they straight? No, never mind. It was, I guess, just a... Okay, it was just a... Yeah, never mind. I'm talking BS. Oh, is it starting to snow? Uh-oh. So we definitely will need to de-ice. We'll see the FSLabs simulates ice accumulation here. You'll also see ice accumulate on here. I forget the ice detector mass, I think it's what it's called. I forgot what it's called. A term I forget because I never use it in a sim until now. And you also see ice and snow build up on the wings, on the fuselage, which is also something that only FSLabs does. So that is really cool. And maybe we'll see that effect here. Also, when you do the ice, we'll definitely see that today. You'll see the fluid, depending on the fluid type you've used, you'll see it also appear here, and then for takeoff you'll see it disappear, which is super cool. All right, let's continue. So the before walk around is completed, and we've done all that. So we're also going to review the de-icing procedures. I know what they are, but we're going to need to determine what kind of de-icing fluid we need and things like that. So we're going to use a good chart that they provide as well. But first things first, let's start our pre-flight procedures. You just heard boarding has been requested, fueling is completed, seatbelt signs can come on, and yeah, fueling is completed. And I should get my preliminary load sheet here momentarily, which I'll take a look at. That is checked and works. Okay. That's a weird effect. That should not happen. Whatever they simulated there. Alright, this is all checked. This all looks good. 12 o'clock position data. Nothing on the maintenance panel, which is checked. Everything else looks good here. I was always checking my printer, sorry. 1201 is checked, date is checked. Well, I think it's printing now. Actually, I can keep this 0. Never mind, it's not. These are all checked. Thrust service idle, parking brake set. Everything is checked there. 1 to 1.5. No, that's still a bug. Okay. Detune this. This is all checked as well. Normally I would expect the preliminary load sheet to arrive here. Maybe it takes a little while, but we'll see. So let's continue with the FMGC. So departing runway 04 right today. Kuvem 5 Charlie. Insert arrival ILS 232 right. Zulu. Nant 3 Charlie. Insert. Alternate flight plan 32 right. I don't think it's gonna have a SID. Then arrival into ILS 27. No SID, no VIA. Insert. Distance 1801. Flight plan says 1805, so that is perfectly fine and checked. And the real unit, step altitude should be available. It is available as soon as the cruise level is inserted, and I should be able to program that in. There's still, however, another major bug. Even if you put in step altitudes, there's a major bug that erases any wind data from previous waypoints before the step altitude. So just keep that in mind. So I'm not going to insert it today. I'm going to leave it blank, and then we're just going to step climb at the waypoint that we're expected to step climb. I'm still not getting a preliminary load sheet, which is kind of interesting. Normally you would get that at this point. And I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything wrong here. Yes I did. I forgot to send the fuel report, which is very important. So we have 18.5, we have actually 18.7, so that's checked. Volume is, everything is checked. That's all good. So we'll send that report off. And then, funny I forgot it today, because I normally never forget that. So once that is sent, we should expect the preliminary load sheet. So those are two prerequisites you need. One is the fuel report sent, and then the boarding needs to be started from GSX in order to get it. I should be able to get it here momentarily, and then we'll take a look, because about now I require it. So wind request. I'm still not getting a preliminary load sheet, which is fine. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in 18.7. Maybe there's some problem when you forget the fuel report and boarding has already completed. Maybe there's some kind of issue there. Maybe. I'm not sure. So 5%, 30 minutes. So we're just gonna use we have here 65.7. Pretty much the same thing. So if you don't get a preliminary load sheet, which can happen even in real life, you just use whatever your OFP says for the time being until you get the final load sheet. So let's go ahead and do that. And we have an alternate fuel of 1.8 we're going to plug in. Put this at about 22 minutes, which is fine for now. The wind data is still being uplinked. 4.6 extra, 436. The timing is perfect. Distance is also pretty close. The extra fuel on board is almost perfect as well, which is checked. Again, it's not taking into account the step climb, and I'm not going to insert the step climb. I could now, see, but I don't want to do that because it has some major bugs still. That's the reason why the extra fuel on board is not quite perfect to the flight plan at the moment, but it will be once we arrive. It should be pretty much spot on. Performance, flaps 2, 46, 5,000. Acceleration altitude is 1650, so we're going to round that up to 1700. So 1650, 1650. Insert there, and then 64, 64, 64. Wow, okay. Everywhere 64. Inserted.
Helsinki traffic, Finnair 1079. Taxi to Holy Pond, Sulukolo, by Alpha Kilo, and Sulu.
We'll copy the active. New destination. ILS 04 left for the return. And then we're going to put in... next waypoint is going to be our engine out, PVO, and hold. We could insert a hold here, but we don't know what the, okay. Don't quite know yet what that could be. So we're going to leave it like so. And then we're going to go to performance. And we're going to insert our data here. Alright, that's inserted. Initial climb is going to be 4,000. The rest is all checked. This is all checked as well. Pressurization is checked, and status Gen 2 is a bug. The rest is checked. So I'm going to go ahead and do the cockpit preparation checklist now. So, gear pins and covers removed, fuel quantity 18.7 tons, and balanced. Seatbelts on. Adheres nav, and within margin, and barrel F1009er with 170, that's checked, 170 is checked. Cockpit preparation checklist completed. So taking a little bit look at the de-icing, you can go to the checklist curate, go to de-icing, and we can check what kind of de-icing we will need. We don't need anything powerful today, so I think fluid type 1 should be sufficient today. Okay, and I just got my preliminary load sheet, so that's checked. So I'm gonna double review that here in a moment. First, I'm gonna check the de-icing pads. The de-icing facility is all the way back there. So we're at -3 to -8, so this is our table right here. Either 75-25 or 100%. Light freezing rain that we have here. Actually, not even that. We have just. Let me just double check here. We got our final load sheet now. Boarding is completed. We're expected to depart in 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and check that out. Zero fuel weight at 64.4. So a few less passengers, I guess, and less cargo than expected. 31.6. 142 passengers. And you know what I totally forgot? Now the passengers are freezing, is to add the preconditioned air. So we're gonna go ahead and start the APU now anyways. Fuel pumps can come on as well. So I'm really sorry, passengers. It's different when you're in a simulator and you're in the thing in real life. It's just so different, because obviously at home in a good warm place, flying a simulator, you don't have the feeling of being cold, so you don't have that immediate desire to add air conditioning. But hey, that's my excuse. So we're gonna continue here. We're gonna go to performance, and we're gonna go ahead and do some performance calculations again. So 82.9 is correct, 26.7, that's correct. We're gonna go ahead and, oops, see, no keyboard. We're gonna go ahead and assume a temperature of -5 and a QNH of 1008. And we're gonna calculate that for runway 04 right full length. And now if you want to, which I will, we can do takeoff uplink. It gave me V1 of 159. I'm gonna use 164. But the rest is checked. So since we are not in the best conditions here, and I don't know what kind of stuff is on the ground, which I'm pretty sure FSLabs simulates the fact that if there is ice on the ground, you will skid, and if there is snow and things like that and rain, you will feel the effect of it, depending on how much it is. I think FSLabs does simulate that. So to not risk anything, we're gonna do dual engine start, and we're gonna not do a single engine taxi to the de-icing pad. However, we're gonna leave everything up. Flaps gonna stay up. Everything like that is gonna stay up. So we're gonna keep that in mind, hopefully. well, we will keep that in mind, not hopefully, we will. And let's go and check the documents again. So we're gonna, I've decided to go with type 2, concentration at 75%, since we don't really have too much to worry about here. It's not like actively snowing, raining,
Yeah, that's good.
or anything like that, so it's it should be fine. Plus, I don't see any physical like issues here either. There's no ice buildup here, so I think we should be fine with just using type 2 at 75% concentration. Alright, so we have changed the runway. There was a runway change. We're now doing 2-2 right, which is nice because it is closer to our de-icing pad, and that's good. In real life, they're currently taking 2-2 right, so that changed. Did all the calculations, redid the engine outset, everything, so everything is back to normal. I think the only thing I forgot to do here is this, yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and refill that out real quick. So 060, winds are calm, 10. So, 4-star items, beacon on, thruster with auto primary set, expression in the green. We're gonna call for pushback. We're gonna arm the slides. I right click on this, by the way, to trigger the slides to arm, and GSX should then arrive here momentarily.
We are ready for
Parking
pushback.
brake is set, takeoff speeds, and thrust 159, 159, 163. Clean speed is checked with our calculations, and flex 46 degrees. Windows closed, and beacon on. 4-star checklist is completed.
Release parking brakes. Commencing push. Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push completed and brake set.
Alright, we're gonna start engine number 2 first. I'm starting 1.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Unlocking gear.
Flaps will keep up.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
Alright, after start checklist. Anti-ice, engine anti-ice on, ECAM status check, pitch trim is set, rudder trim is neutral. Checklist completed. Alright. Helsinki traffic, taxiing to the de-icing pad via Yankee Delta. Alright, brake check. Pressure 0.
Hello, it's Nolan. Let's cabin secure for takeoff. Thank you.
We're just gonna stop here. So we're gonna go ahead and communicate or establish communications on the ground. Let's see if we can do it through here. Connections, services. Request de-icing service. Okay. Cool, so we establish a contact and we'll go ahead and do the procedure. So cabin mode selector is auto, engine bleeds off, APU bleed is off, the ditching push button comes on.
Confirm aircraft is ready for treatment.
Rest servers are idle and we are now prepared for de-icing. Some airlines also the GSX going with fluid type. Yeah, sure.
And observe fluid type 1. Concentration at 75%. I will call you back when ready.
Some airlines also turn off the packs for the procedure. I mean, we can check what our documents here says, but you should not need to. We'll hear de-icing on ground. There it is. So you can see that here in this case it also does not reference the packs. So we should get a report from the de-icing. We'll see if we get that actually. Normally I have it set to print when that is done. So I would expect that to occur. Go to departure de-icing. So you can see in progress everything. So it recognizes it, right? So I do expect a message to come through. So we have our holdover time. We have the time when that holdover time starts, so on and so forth, and the fluid type, the concentration should all be written down there. The ditching push button can come back off. We'll check that the outflow valve then opens. It is opening. Upon 1 minute of completion, we can turn the bleeds back on, which we will go ahead and do. Turn on the engine anti-ice again. We'll set the flaps for takeoff. Let me just double check. The icing should print automatically. Remaining holdover time 0 minutes. That's strange. Anyways, alright, let's go and do a flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, full left, full right, neutral. We'll continue our taxi. Helsinki traffic, continuing the taxi to runway 22 right. Taxi checklist is completed. Flight control strike, flaps, setting config 1 plus F radar, and predictive wind shear on an auto engine mode selector. We'll keep it at normal. ACOM status, takeoff no blue. Lineup checklist, takeoff runway confirmed, TCAS, TARA, packs 1 and 2 off. And cabin has been advised. Cam cruises for departure. So we'll do a rolling takeoff. Amflex 46 SRS runway, auto thrust blue. Was checked, by the way.
V1.
Rotate. Positive rate gears coming up. Half. Thrust climb auto thrust, pack 1. And pack 2.
Helsinki traffic Finnair 545, which expects stand for main facing northwest.
Flag 0. See some ice build up here. If I put her on the wing anti-ice, we'll put autopilot 1 on. Alright, so as you can see, we're currently in the step descent part of the flight plan where we're going back to 340, and it actually worked perfectly. So step descents do work as well. And then, but we are also currently at a point where we need to plan for our descent. So we're going to go ahead and do so. I don't expect anybody to be online at the moment. I will check. And we can just go to ATSU, AOC, arrival ATIS, and we shall see. Nope, no information. So I'm going to do a MEDAR request. I'm going to go for Tango 26 on the gate. But no problem. We're going to go landing. We're going to go to the fuel prediction page. We have 5.2. We expect 5.2 as the extra fuel on board. And just like I've mentioned before, now with all the step climbs done, we're pretty much spot on with what the flight plan or what SimBrief calculated, 5.2. So, just as I mentioned, that's something that FSLabs does very, very well as well. So, landing weight, we have a zero fuel weight of 64.4. Adding the extra fuel on board gives us our landing weight, so 69.6. And runway 32 right still. Outside air temperature is 11 degrees. 1029er is checked. Reverse. We're going to use idle reverse. Go with none. Flaps. We can go config 3. AC on off. And we can calculate that. So low auto brake. Our wing length is... Alright. So we'll go with medium. Actually, no, sorry. We're going to go flaps full, low, and idle, which is checked. So I'm happy with that. Aircraft status, no status. Everything is working in working condition. Landing elevation 2,000 feet auto is set and checked. We're going to go ahead and continue with the planning of the arrival. So our top of descent is a 93 nautical miles. So that means our descent phase is going to be about 100 miles, which is checked. We're going to populate our fixed info page. 10 miles. Nav accuracy is high, GPS primary, everything is checked here. Performance, transition 130, winds are 160 at 4, temperature 11 degrees, QNH 1029er. Our minimums is 2105. And indeed NADP 1, so we're going to go round up 3400 because it's really close. Plus 1500 is going to be 49. And then we're going to go 3500 on the engine out. Secondary copy. And this is what I mean. This is really strange that the extra fuel on board is here not correct. It should be identical to the active flight plan because it is the identical flight plan. So I'm not sure why it has issues here. Auto brake low. I would then do the approach briefing, let the cabin crew know that we're about to descent so they know. And yeah, we'll see you on the approach for runway 32 right. Metro traffic, 8 mile final, runway 32 right. cruisies for landing. And a checklist. Econ memo letting know blue, cabin advised. We are cleared to land. I don't think I see anybody anymore on the runway. I think they vacated. Yep, looks like it. Cleared to land for sure.
$500, $400, $300, 100 above, 300, minimum,
Continue.
100, 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 5.
Manual braking. We're gonna exit on the left. Alright, single engine taxi cooldown time has been done. Engine 2 off, yellow electric pump on. Parking checklist. Parking brake or chocks set. Engines off. Wing lights off. Fuel pumps off. Yellow electric pump off. Parking checklist completed. Alright, so let's review. Out 1231, off 1250, on 1722, 1735. Clock time 5:04, flight time 4:31 is checked, so we'll send that off, which will then populate in our tech log. And I think it was a relatively hard landing. Flight history, negative 366, yeah. It's alright. So our first flight done on this channel with the FSLabs A321. So, that is the end of the flight. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any things you want me to cover with this aircraft specifically, let me know. I do have some rather big plans with this airplane, and I will share with you what it is, but it is going to take a relatively long time until I can do it fully the way I want to, simply because I need to collect some data on certain parts, and that is doing a direct comparison with Phoenix, so subjectively, aircraft systems, and flight model. I already have ideas how I can do that objectively, not subjectively. Even flight model, because flight model is very subjective generally, but it can be done objectively, and I will try to do my best to show that. And we're going to be using data, tables, things like that, we'll see, as well as level D simulator. And systems wise, we're also going to compare directly to a level D simulator. So one that is relatively close, one using S7 as the latest standard for FMGC, and a flight warning computer of one of the later standards as well, which is, I believe, installed in the Sharklet variant of the 321. They're using 3 Papa, so F3 Papa for the non-standard, or sorry, for the non-Sharklet variant, so wingtip fences. They're using 9 FD or F9D, sorry, for the Sharklet variant, and they're probably going to use F9D for the Neo as well, which would be perfectly accurate and fine. Not the latest version, but it is still a relatively good and up-to-date version still. So, without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you all in the next video. Until then, peace!